Welcome, everyone, to another edition of Stepping Up to the Plate. So glad you could join us. I'm your host, Michael Vega. Glad to be joined on the dais by my main man, Al Prizzuti. And Al, what a weekend of sports it was here in Boston. NFL playoffs kind of ruling the roost with the 4 participants. We're down to the final 4. AFC Championship to be determined between the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs. And, of course, in the NFC, it's going to be the Philadelphia Eagles and the upstart and surprising Washington Commanders. And, Al, a week ago I sat here, proclaimed that my picks for the Super Bowl that I made a year ago were still alive, but that's no longer the case because the Lions and the Ravens are out. And, Al, I'm just like shocked. Beyond shocked because I thought both those teams had what it took this year to go all the way.
I kind of agree with you on Detroit. I'm more of a Buffalo Bills fan.
Okay.
And so, I mean, I'd like to see the Bills beat the Kansas City because I think Kansas City kind of I've seen enough of it.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see the Bills win. It's a good football town, and Allen is a terrific player. So is Mahomes.
Yeah.
But I just prefer. On the other side, I think Philly is going to win, but Washington is one of those. The Commanders have been where the Patriots are now.
Yeah, yeah. That's where they were.
They were. So that's hope for a Boston fan who's looking and saying, you know, we got Josh McDaniels, we've got Vrabel,
we got the coach, and we got a quarterback. We got a quarterback.
And we got I'm saying and that's Josh McDaniels can make Drake May even better than what he is.
I think so. And I think that's all it took for the Commanders to turn their fortunes around. Well, it took more than that. It took first of all, it took them getting rid of their owner, Dan Snyder.
Yeah.
And bringing in someone who was going to lift up the organization, hire good people. They put a new coach, Dan Quinn, in place, and then he brought in his guys, and they made the right choice with their draft pick.
It's kind of fascinating in a way. At one time, the football, the NFL, had a host of teams at the upper level, another group in the middle, and a group in the tail end.
Yeah.
It's now almost split between good teams and bad teams.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, you got a host of teams that were vying for the top pick with the Patriots as being the worst team. I mean, there were 5 or 6 teams that were jockeying. I mean, the Patriots lose the last game, went from 1st to 4th.
And the Bears wind up getting the pick.
And the Bears get the pick. So, but then you look and say who the elite teams, you can count them. There's probably 6, 7 elite teams that could have won it.
Yeah.
And there are now 10 or so bad teams that can't win it.
No.
So you have the coulds and the can'ts.
But, you know, I'll give you one example of a team that was on the rise. They had a bad start. In fact, so bad they lost to the Patriots at the start of their season.
Well, the first game.
And then they just kept coming. But you know who kept bringing them back? Was Joe Burrow, their quarterback.
Yeah.
And they had a good scheme. They had a good defense.
Yeah, well, it's what wins.
Yeah.
I mean, quarterbacks win. You can just see it. Defense and quarterbacks win.
Well, in Philadelphia, it's the running back that's been winning. I mean, unbelievable. Saquon Barkley, what he's done there. And, I mean, you look at those teams, how they're energized. The Eagles by Barkley's arrival. The Commanders by the arrival of Jaden Daniels and a whole new regime.
Well, you got to have. I mean, I think what I like about Vrabel was when he said, "We're not going to throw the ball 50 times. You got to have balance."
Yes. Yeah.
And
take pressure off the kid.
Well, not only that, but you get other guys. What happens is the defense doesn't know what the heck you're going to do.
Right.
I mean, you got to confuse the defense. If all you do is pass, it's kind of like the Bruins. All they do is pass it to Pasternak. Well, I can defend that.
Right.
And the same thing is if you're just passing the ball, I remember years ago when it was 3rd and 5.
Right.
The question was, would they pass? Would they run? Would they use an option? There were so many things, and the team would go, what are they going to do here? Because they change it and they mix it up. But who knows?
Well, Al, so right now, as you mentioned, the Patriots people in Patriot Nation have reason to be a little bit hopeful because of the
I
fact
think so.
that not only did they go out and bring in Vrabel, they dealt with the issue of the mistake they made in the previous season with Mayo. Ownership, Bob Kraft took accountability, was front and center about that, and went out and made the hire that everyone thought he should have made. So that energizes the masses. And then even more so now by the return of Josh McDaniels. And now you, like I said, you have those core elements in place. And I think that it's going to be incumbent upon them to make the right decision in the draft. But who's going to be making that decision? Will it be Elliott Wolf? I think it's going to be Mike Vrabel.
I think it'll be Vrabel, but I do, there seems to be some camaraderie between Wolf and Vrabel, which is a good thing.
Okay.
Which is a
that's
good
okay.
thing.
You got to have a good working relationship.
I don't think it's going to be definitive one way or the other.
But here's the thing. If, as you say, they have to strike a balance, well, then they have to go out and get either a running back or a lineman.
Well, I think what
and I think the lineman right now is premium because that offensive line almost got that kid killed.
They got some running backs, though, that do different types of things. They got some shifty back. They got to get, what's his name, Ramondre Stevenson, to hold on to the ball.
Yeah.
If he's not a bad runner. He's a 5
Neither is
yards
Gibson.
per
Antonio Gibson's not a bad runner.
They're not bad runners. So I think with the scheme that says, okay, we're going to throw the ball 35, 40 times and not 50, and use these guys to catch the ball, to run the ball, to do different things, makes them better.
And you know who I would be if I was on that Patriots roster and I heard the news that it had been Josh McDaniels had been hired, I would be elated if I'm Pop Douglas or Marcus Cannon because these are the guys that operate in the slot.
Yeah,
and they'll probably get featured, as will the tight ends too.
Well, less the tight ends. I think the tight ends are going to lose a little on this because if you notice, if you had noticed Josh McDaniels when he was here, always had the guys like Edelman and guys like that, and he's going to probably try to fill that slot, which would take away from the tight ends, more maybe blocking than passing. Who knows?
So I'll allow you now. We'll kind of pivot and segue to the college game, and the college football season has come to an end now with Ohio State reigning at the top. And I want to applaud Ryan Day, a guy I knew from his days at Boston College when he was a grad assistant.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I told the story about him, but Ryan Day was a grad assistant on Tom O'Brien's staff, and he was working under Jerry Peter Kuski, who was a special teams guy there. And I think it was a Meineke CarQuest Bowl where BC was playing against North Carolina down in Charlotte, where the Eagles had a chance to go for a tying field goal. And their starting quarterback at the time was a kid named Paul Peterson, breaks his leg. So they're carting him off the field. Meanwhile, BC's huddled up, and O'Brien's pointing out to this kid who's getting carted off. He sends the field goal team out there to tie it. Well, unbeknownst to me up there, they had hatched a plan to run a fake field goal. And they were going to have the kicker at the time, a kid named Ryan Oliger from Delaware, who had never run the ball at all in his entire career in college. They were going to hand it off to him to go attempt to win this game. And they pulled it off, they executed it, and they win the game. So I was just like, flabbergasted. Tom O'Brien is not the riverboat gambler. And that's why I went down and I asked Jerry Peter Kusk, I said, Jerry, who's the riverboat gambler that made that call? And he says, you'll never guess. He says, it was Ryan Day, who's a graduate assistant. He saw something. He ran it up the flagpole to Jerry Peter Kuski. They took it to O'Brien. O'Brien said, why not? Let's go for it. And they did. And there began the legend of Ryan Day, and his career just took off after that. But
in watching that game, I thought Ohio State ran out ahead, and
oh my God,
Notre Dame came back at the end. But that was kind of Notre
Dame smacked Ohio State in the mouth right to begin with. Just went down the field, and they solved that problem. And then the thing was that Notre Dame couldn't cover.
No,
they couldn't cover. And you know, when the snowball starts rolling like that, you know, a team gets so much momentum. And it seemed like Notre Dame was starting to kind of seize it back. They were trying to claw their way back. You know, if they had made that field goal that clanged off the upright, it might be a different story.
Oh yeah, it's always that.
You might have more pressure and here's the thing. I mean, now Ryan Day has been vindicated, so to speak, because of the fact that he loses to their arch rival Michigan, and again that's like been a thorn in his side. But now he's got, I think he's got a little bit of room to maneuver now to Ohio State with a national championship. Yeah. I hope they cut him some slack.
Ohio State's been in the news with the Vrabel,
the
winning the national title. We've got Lurie and Merkelov when he's up. He's an Ohio State kid too. But it is what it is.
And we had a great day on MLK Day with the Bees winning at home and the Celtics winning on the road.
Well,
let's address the Bees.
The Bees kind of an interesting situation because they lose 6 in a row. They got 1 point out of that. So on 12 possible points, then they got one. Then they come back and win 2 against 2 good teams, Tampa and the Panthers. And then they tie a game they should have won.
Yeah.
So here they get, out of 6, they get 5, and then they win again. So this is unfortunately a rhythm that they've built up of being a 500 team. You win 6, you lose 6. You win 4, you lose 4. And, that's not going to cut it. I mean, the Bruins are in pretty bad shape if you look at where they are in the standings. Although they jumped back into it, there are 4 or 5 teams that have games in hand on the Bruins that are around 1 or 2 points away. So if they get into an extended up and down, they're not going to make it.
They've got to create some separation.
Well, they've got the Devils tonight,
tough game,
which they could lose. I mean, the Devils have been struggling a little, and then they got Colorado.
Another tough opponent.
And that's a tough game. So they've got a couple of 2 or 3 tough games still coming up, and I still don't like what I see. Now, they've won those games, but, the game that they won 6-2, 2 open, net goals, a big deal. The game the other night, you're playing the Sharks, not the best team in
But they're young, and they got kids who can move. Macklin, Celebrini, Will Smith, those guys are like
good.
Yeah.
But the Bees, let me put it this way. There wasn't a way better team on either side in either period.
Right.
So at the end of the game, playing at home, incidentally,
huge.
They should have won the game, and they did.
Yeah.
Now, I've been a little down on Charlie Coyle because he can't score even on the
all of a sudden, he's
net.
become like your Marcus Smart.
Now, you know what? I like the kid because he does some good things. What he can't do, though, is what they need, and that's goal scoring. Now, today, they brought up 2 players. They brought up Brown, and they brought up Jones, okay? Jones and Brown, Jones is a big kid, so they're trying to use that kind of to help with Kralik, as I keep forgetting how to pronounce it. Kasalik is on the IR.
Yeah.
So they need, like, for somebody with Trent Frederick, who's pretty
or
tough
Koepke.
kid.
You mean Koepke's on the IR?
No,
Kasalik.
Kaslik they put on the IR, and
Really?
they brought up Brown and Jones.
Yeah.
Now, I like them bringing up guys. I still think Fabian Lysell should be on the team because he creates, kind of like Patras in a way.
Yeah.
Patras,
I think Charlie Coyle's benefited from Patras being there.
What he does, though, is he snakes the puck out.
Yeah.
He sniffs it out. He goes to the corners, he comes out with the puck.
Yeah.
A lot of the Bruins don't do that.
Right.
And coming out of the zone, you can say what you want about Lurie because he does make some mistakes. Okay,
But
on
he gets it across.
out of the zone.
Yes.
He comes out, and he's on the power play, notice why? Because he can get it in.
Yes.
And they made 2 huge mistakes last year, and both of them belong, I think, to Sweeney. Elias Lindholm might be an up-and-down 200-foot player, okay, can't score.
No.
Can't score, and they got him for 7 years, incidentally.
Yeah.
And the other kid they got for 6 years,
Zadorov.
I wouldn't put him on the ice at all.
Really, Al?
I think he's a
liability?
He's a liability, especially when he can't get out of the zone.
Yeah.
What he does is he throws it up to the side, or he goes behind the net and waits for somebody else
yes,
to come.
I hate that. Oh my God.
So he's no star. He's no Zdeno Chara.
Right, no.
He might be Zdeno Chara when Chara was on his last
He
leg.
might try to affect the role of an enforcer, but
you know
I think Trent Frederick has become that guy.
Trent Frederick is a tough kid.
Yeah.
Who does the right thing.
Yeah.
What Zadorov does is he makes off like he gets into it when you don't need it.
He'll instigate,
I'm
and
not a
he
big
takes
fan
bad
at all.
penalties too.
I'm not a big fan. But you got to remember one thing about the Bruins, and I forget it too. Hampus Lindholm, whether you like him or not, I kind of like him, but he's a pretty reliable defenseman. Who can skate, incidentally. He's not a goal scorer, but he can skate. He comes out of the zone.
But he's had a
pretty
lower body injury.
He's been out. McAvoy now has been out for a while.
Well, Lindholm may have a fracture.
Well, he's skating.
Yeah.
So having two guys like that out in a period where they lost 6 games in a row.
And they've got some tough teams coming up.
So I think you're going to see, if they don't put together a significant winning streak, I'm talking about a winning streak, not getting a point here and there and then losing 1 and 2s and 2.
Do you think they become sellers at the deadline?
I think they'll dump a lot of players.
Wow.
I do.
On who? In return
The
for
problem
what?
is who wants them.
Right, in return for what?
The people want Trent Frederick because Trent Frederick adds a dimension that a lot of teams like, especially in the playoffs.
I bet you I know who goes for him. The Blues.
No, St. Louis might, but
Jimmy
I'm not
Montgomery
sure.
would be at
I'm not sure that Montgomery.
Well, do you think Montgomery will want any part of a deal with the Bruins right now?
Yeah, oh yeah, he'd take Lohrei. He wants offensive defensemen, so he'd go after a kid like
But they're not
Lohrei.
going.
He wouldn't go after Brandon
But the Bruins right now
Cowell.
can't give up Lohrei.
Well,
given their situation on
You
defense.
know, I think a little more understanding of what's down in Providence might help, because all we talk about is Fabian Lysell, Merkelov. This kid Letteris comes up and scored 2 goals.
Vinny, my cousin Vinny.
He's in 3rd
Yeah.
in the league.
In the league down there.
The problem with him is he's 32. He's been around.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like you're finding out that this kid is
Can
going
play all of a
to
sudden.
make
Right,
it.
Right.
The kid like Lysell, you're going to have to say, okay, he's 21 years old. He's got an upside. Letteris doesn't have an upside, but he can score.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good thing to do. They're not winning with what they got, so why not bring up guys and then take a look at that? And then if they don't produce, then you dump and you bring in.
But
So
if you do that, I think that does not bode well for Don Sweeney.
it doesn't bode well for the Bruins. See, you're playing.
They're not going to. I mean, you're raising the white flag.
Well,
basically.
I think Sweeney's days are numbered, anyways, because this team doesn't have the talent.
Yeah.
And he created an image. You know, Cam Neely said it best the other day. He said, maybe we overestimated our talent.
Oh, yeah, they did.
Well, Lindholm and Zadora, and maybe, I like Geeky, because I think Geeky's what he is. And I
like Kastelic.
I think Kastelic's a Bruin.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, they extended him.
But there's Kepke, there's a whole host of those guys.
And we haven't even begun to talk about the goaltending.
You know, well, I think Swayman's been a disappointment, but
So, yeah.
Jonas Caposalo has been, he made a save the other night that saved that game. That game could have went to
Yes, I remember
that
that one.
save he made with the glove going side to side. So, you know.
And the other win that was by the Celtics out on the West Coast against the Golden State Warriors. They administered a beatdown like no other. I could have told you that was going to happen, you know. And did you see kind of like the iciness that's still at the end of the game between Kerr and Tatum?
The story of the game wasn't the game. It was after the game when they were, well, you had Brown and Tatum talking with Curry.
Right.
And Kerr was standing.
He was wanting to talk to Tatum.
He wanted to talk to Tatum.
But Tatum was talking to
But
Curry.
he gave it up. And I think probably because they got really close, I think Tatum said to Curry, I'm making this up.
Yeah.
We're going to keep talking. 'Cause I ain't talking.
No, actually, Al, he was engaged in a conversation, and I don't think Kerr wanted to interrupt. He was waiting for
No,
him
Kerr
to finish.
didn't want to
so
interrupt.
he moved on to somebody else. And I saw Tatum went looking for Kerr, and they saw each other. They hugged it out. I saw it. I saw it on TV.
He went looking
I
for
saw
him,
it.
but you know what?
No, but I saw them get together.
With
It wasn't
blind
on.
eyes.
It wasn't on camera. It was
He
like
went
off.
looking for him with his eyes closed.
Well,
The
you know,
Celtics have been a 500 team.
over the last 14, 15 games. Yeah.
15 games.
You know, and the thing is that they've been playing with their food right now. And they're calling it the January malaise, you know. And, you know, you can get to this part of the season, and you think, Al, think about it, though. I mean, that team played deeper than anybody else, played more games than anybody else.
Yeah.
And then their core group, they went out to play in the Olympics.
I don't have a problem with them. I think that, you know, the ups and downs that they're having during the season are
kind of built in.
Every
Yeah.
year. I mean, on every team.
I don't think it's a reason to get alarmed.
I don't like the talk about Drew Holiday going out west. I heard that he might be available. I don't think that's a good thing.
No.
I think
no.
the other kid there, White.
Derek White.
He's had a couple of bad games shooting wise, but you know what?
Derek's
There's a kid
upside
that can score when you need him.
I don't want to give up on Drew Holiday right now.
No, me
I mean,
neither.
look at what he gave this team right when he joined it.
He's an all-around player. He can play
in a game
defense,
against the Atlanta Hawks that they lost, he made a couple of boneheaded moves. He did defend his position well. He got caught up in a couple of things, and wound up allowing his guy to get to the rim easily. But and then of course they get into an overtime situation with him and then wind up losing it.
When you win a game against a team like the Warriors by 50, and they won a game before by 50 about 2 weeks ago, which they then turn around and lost to the team. I'm not worried about this team at all. I think they have the talent and the bench strength, to get by. Now, I think the other thing we should probably talk about, we only got a couple of minutes, 5 minutes or so, is the Hall of Fame. There were 3 guys that made it, only 3, incidentally. And, Ken Griffey Jr. belongs in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, no doubt.
I'm not so sure I would have voted for C.C. Sabathia. He got 86% of the vote.
First ballot.
Ichiro, 99, only one person didn't vote for him on the first ballot. But I understand Ichiro and I understand Griffey. Nobody ever talks about father-son team.
Yeah.
Because the old man, Ken Griffey Sr., was a terrific ball player.
Yeah.
And the kid was probably better. But still, maybe Barry Bonds
and Bobby Bonds
are the only other two that I could even recollect that were father-son. I mean, you got brothers with the DiMaggios and the Aarons. Were in it. But it's interesting. Now, you noticed the
Necros brothers.
Beltre got 72%.
He was right there on the
He's
cusp.
close. He'll make it the next time. I don't think Wagner.
Yeah.
I don't think he should have made it. Not that I think he shouldn't have made it. I don't think that he was Hall of Fame quality.
I'm with you on that one. I just thought there might have been more. Ken Griffey Jr. I mean, honestly, that guy should be in already.
Oh yeah, he was a terrific ball player. Now,
do you think he's getting any kind of residual fallout from the steroid era because he played in that era?
No, I think if you look and see, Rodriguez got 37%, so he's pretty much done. So did Manny Ramirez, got 34 or 35%.
Right.
He's pretty much done. I think Ramirez, if I'm not mistaken, only has the next time, and then he's out. I think Rodriguez has a little more time. I was a little surprised at the low rating for Dustin Pedroia. Not that I think he's Hall of Fame caliber, but I think he would have been a little more. Would have got a few more votes, up in the 25, 30 range than 14. I mean.
Yeah. No, well, I don't know that
his
many.
First time.
Well,
so.
that's the other thing too. The way his career ended, it wasn't like he put up phenomenal numbers and then went out with the big flourish.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to make a comparison, but it was kind of like a Bobby Orr type thing, where Bobby Orr is the greatest player I ever saw in any sport.
Right.
But he only played 10 years.
Right.
And Dustin Pedroia was the best second baseman we've ever had and that I've seen.
Yes.
I mean, I didn't see Bobby Orr, but
no doubt.
10 years.
Laser show.
And he was the same thing.
Laser
he
show.
was hurt. So it's interesting if you look, and I went down the list.
Andrew Jones, he was on that list too.
Yeah, he's on the list, and so what happens is you have to look and see how many times they've been on it.
Yes.
And how many more times can they be on it? Because you make a like Pedroia first time and stuff like that. I did watch the show on the Hall of Famers, and they were talking to CC Sabathia.
Yeah.
He only won 231 games or something like that. He didn't win 300, which used to be the benchmark for Hall of Fame. But the things that were outstanding about him, he pitched for a lot of teams. He pitched for Cleveland, he pitched for the Yankees and stuff like that.
I remember when he did that.
He was always opening day. So that usually tells you that he's your ace.
Yeah.
And he did that 10 or 11 times. He also was the starting pitcher in most of the postseason games.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying he wasn't a great pitcher and he didn't belong there. I kind of think that 86% on first ballot, a little
A lot of Yankee fans, I think, out there.
Yeah, but
well, he probably also had a lot of people in the Midwest.
Yeah.
When he was with Cleveland, so he had a lot of voting pockets there.
He's a good pitcher, and you can argue whether you think he's. The other thing that I watched Djokovic.
Oh, wow, unbelievable!
Alcaraz.
What a epic match.
The interesting thing was that Alcaraz won the first match 6-4, and then Djokovic had a medical interruption. Got off then. They put a wrap around his groin area, supposedly. And then won the next 3 games.
Yeah.
And not convincingly. I mean, I don't know if you saw
struggled.
the
struggled.
fourth game, the fourth game. 31 shots went back and forth, and Alcaraz won the 30. And they were both so tired. But it was an interesting thing to watch. Djokovic has got to play Zverev now, and Zverev's the number 2.
And Shelton beats Lorenzo Sonego, the Italian, he was unbelievable.
I knew Shelton. Shelton's going to be a tough one because on that surface.
Shelton got tested.
Yeah, well,
that kid Sonego was pretty good. Sonego outplayed him.
Well, what Sonego
and
is,
it could have been an all-Italian semifinal.
But I think what Sonego is he's a little like Djokovic in that he gets the ball back, he stays in it. What Shelton is, though,
is a bomber, man.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to beat you on the serve.
He did.
Zverev can beat you on the serve. I think Djokovic has had good luck against him. That'll be a match. Sinner and Shelton. Sinner's going to win that one.
Yeah.
So then it'll be Sinner and Djokovic if it's my way, and I want Djokovic to win.
Oh, that could
I'm
be
a Djokovic
epic.
fan. So
yeah. How could you not be?
Well, a lot of people aren't.
Yeah. No, I like him. I like him a lot. All righty, well, that'll do it for us. We want to thank you for spending your time here, and we look forward to having you next time on Stepping Up to the Plate. All righty, everybody. Thanks. Take care.